Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to the Kuala Lumpur Photography Festival. I'm Jessica, the director of KLPF. I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone on our Facebook as well as everyone in our physical exhibition hall now. Okay, this year, in celebrating our 25th anniversary, we are going hybrid. Actually, we have gone hybrid, okay? We have our virtual festival on our website, bit.ly/KLPF 2021. And now we are here at Viva Shopping Mall with our physical exhibition. And I would like to invite all of you to come here and see everything in real form, all right? So anyway, this is a beautiful Saturday morning. I hope all of you can visit us. And today, we are bringing to you the first session of the day, a very, very meaningful session. Okay, so today, we have 3 guests on our Photomania seminar who will bring you the nature photographer's role in conservation photography. And who are they? They are none other than people who are very passionate about nature, right? So I would like to welcome Swee Peng. Good morning, Swee Peng from the MNS PhotoGroup Selangor Branch, right?
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I would like to say on behalf of MNS Selangor Branch Photo Group, I thank KLPF for this opportunity to share with the public on how we see the role of nature photographers in conservation photography. Yeah, we will have a very exciting session with videos, and then we have very expert or experienced photographers who are, and educators who will share with us their journey in conservation photography. Shall we start, Jessica?
Thank you, Swee Peng. I'll hand over the stage to you now.
Thank you so much. So we will start with our video.
The images you are about to see could be disturbing. Wildlife-human conflict arises when there is natural habitat loss. We see many incidents of our pygmy elephants being poisoned because they wandered into plantations. Forest fires, natural or otherwise, threaten the homes and lives of our forest dwellers. Large mammals, like our tiger and tapir, are often victims of roadkill. This happens because we lack eco corridors. We need to create more of these eco corridors so that our tigers and tapirs can move around safely. Beauty and the Beast is sad to see our beautiful birds having to seek an existence amongst garbage. Greed, uncontrolled accelerated development. Green lungs are sacrificed. Our air quality is compromised. Sewage management not properly enforced.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In that last 1 minute or so video, we brought to you some very graphic images. Images that show the hurt and the pain that is brought to people. They suffer when there is damage to our natural environment. Perhaps you will agree that the impact of this message is made stronger because of the face-on, of these visuals. Today, we want to highlight the role of photographers, the role and the passion that they have in making conservation photography meaningful to the public. I have with me two guests. They are Mr. Gau Nair and Mr. Mahesh Kulkarni, both of whom are excellent photographers, and they are passionate about our natural heritage. And they have conservation in their hearts, and above all, they are educators in nature protection and conservation. So let me first introduce Mr. Gau Nair. Gau has been a member of MNS PhotoGroup since 2010. He brings with us his IT expertise. And since joining us, he has brought our society to the next level and made it relevant to today's age. He has been very active as a member of the committee to promote nature conservation and awareness, and also instrumental in making our Naturegrapher YouTube successful. We also have Mahesh, Mr. Mahesh Kulkarni. He's an expert who has been working in Kuala Lumpur since 2012. Prior to that, he worked in Jakarta for 5 years. He confided in us that his day job in corporate world is his bigger passion. Mahesh has traveled extensively in the region, which is rich in flora and fauna because of the tropical climate. He's a photo enthusiast to create awareness to the urgent need to protect and to conserve and to regenerate the lost biodiversity. He has volunteered his time with nature societies and many research organizations. His photographs has been published internationally and received appreciation in photo exhibitions. Do check out his Click and Conserve website. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Mahesh to kick off this discussion on the role of nature photographers in conservation photography. Mahesh, could I ask you to share with us your journey into photography and what ignited the flame in you to champion nature conservation, and perhaps explain what is conservation photography for us? Thank you.
Thank you, Swee Peng, for this generous introduction. Although I believe I don't deserve this. Thank you, KLPF. Thank you, Jessica and MNS PhotoGroup for giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts with this community. So when we talk about conservation, conservation is nothing but preservation. And when we say conservation of nature, means preservation of nature, that is efficient and ethical use of resources. We should consume not more than what our Mother Earth can recoup. And that is how we will be able to conserve the natural resources. Simply put, conservation photography is a photography that empowers or enables conservation. Conservation photography means making images for advocating conservation outcomes. Photography has served this role since 1960s, although it was not widely acknowledged as an conservation photography as late as 2005. And the notable examples of beginning of conservation photography are from 1960s, when Carlton Watkins has successfully used his photographs to convince the government and the policymakers to declare Yosemite as the first national park in the world in 1864. So it was 1864 when photography did this to the conservation of nature. And of course, later in 1870s, William Henry Jackson also used his photographs of northwestern Wyoming, which was later declared as Yellowstone National Park. And renewed emphasis on photography for conservation arose in the beginning of 21st century. Probably that is when the human beings have started acknowledging that we are deteriorating the ecosystems. We are destroying the biodiversity. And that is when the great photographers like Ansel Adams have started making images in Yosemite National Park to expand the area of Yosemite National Park. And by far, Ansel Adams was probably the most successful conservation photographer ever lived. Although we all know Ansel Adams for his zone system of exposure and for his dodging and burning techniques, but more than that, he was a conservation photographer. He has used his photography to convince the government and the policymakers. In 1900s, he was able to get multiple meetings with the President of America to show the prints of his photographs and to convince him the need for protecting these wildlife corridors and the natural habitats. But even then, it was never, the term conservation photographer was never coined till it came in 2005 when the conservationist Christina Mittermeier realized that there is a large pool of passionate and talented photographers working in this field who needs much more than what they are getting. They deserve a lot of recognition. They deserve adequate remuneration for their work. And that is how in 2005, Christina Mittermeier coined the term conservation photographer. And she has also established an organization called International League of Conservation Photographers. And since then, this has become like a new genre within the photography. So Swee Peng, now I would like to share my own experience and how I got involved into this. I come from India, from central India, and I left India in 2007 for work. I worked in Indonesia for 5 years till 2012 before I came to Malaysia in 2012. So my movement from India to Indonesia and Malaysia into the tropics, I was able to see greenery everywhere and greenery all around the year, which was like a mesmerizing for me. I have never seen so much of greenery in my life before back in India. And then I developed interest in the photography. I said, I must capture this beauty. And the best way to capture is to make images, get photos. And that is how I started photographing the green landscape in 2010, when I invested in my first DSLR. And since then, I have been able to make many trips into the wilderness. The passion for landscape photography later on became passion for wildlife, and then into bird photography. But while making so many trips into the wilderness, while making beautiful photos of the greeneries, the trees, the flora, the fauna, the wildlife, the mammals, the birds, I have also realized the other side of the destruction we are causing to the overall ecosystem. I have seen rampant deforestation for various reasons, including infrastructure development and toxic monoculture farming. I have seen loss of habitat, which is not only hurting the wildlife in that landscape, but also hurting the orang aslis. Loss of biodiversity. In most of the trips, I have seen roadkills. And then I have also seen rampant wastage generation coupled with inadequate infrastructure for waste collection, waste segregation, and waste recycling. And that is where I felt that while making beautiful photos into the nature, I should also make images which will show the other side of the destruction we are causing to this ecosystem. And I have started making images of both the sides, the beautiful side, at the same time, the not so beautiful side, so that these images, I can later on use it for creating awareness among the public at large, at the same time, creating awareness with the policymakers and the government organizations. In this journey, I was very fortunate to work with passionate and knowledgeable people from the NGOs like MNS and many others. The people in these kind of organizations have a lot of knowledge which a photographer will not have about that particular landscape, about that particular species of wildlife, or about that particular issue. And therefore, I was very fortunate to work with various NGOs to get access to the area where I can make images for creating awareness on the issues. At the same time, I could share my images with them, which they could use it for propagating their own cause. Over to you, Swee Peng.
Mahesh, thank you so much for sharing with us your very personal journey. Before I ask Gau to share his experience, I would like to ask the audience in Facebook, please, if you have questions for us, do post your questions in the chat box. And of course, do like us on Facebook, yeah? Okay. Gau, I would like to ask, with your experience, does it make a big difference? Is it a big difference from what Mahesh saw? And with your IT technology expertise, do you see new ways of attracting audience attention and awareness to nature conservation? Over to you, Gau.
Thank you, Swee Peng. Yeah, I would like to look at a different angle where Mahesh has come from. What I saw in terms of conservation is the other parts of the world, especially on the Western side, the passion and also the focus on trying to keep nature and wildlife conserved as much as possible, which over here in the eastern side and countries that are in the third world areas are not too open to nature conservation. So the passion that I saw on the Western side is much more ingrained from the younger generation right up to every level of the public. So in our environment over here in Malaysia especially, I would think there's a lot of opportunity that we can build up the awareness from the younger generation onwards. And that is where I think the future lies. And we could see everyone is a photographer right now. Every handheld device has some sort of camera in it, which can be taken based on wherever they are and whatever they are seeing. So children especially, right, they've been disconnected from nature. That's what I would like to say. And there's a term called nature deficit disorder, which most children are indoors nowadays and are not focused on being outdoors and experiencing nature and looking at what our wildlife is like and our nature, especially in terms of greenery and the flora and fauna that's around them. So the opportunity that we can provide is trying to build up their awareness through workshops. I was fortunate to have that opportunity working with MNS and running a workshop called with the Nature Education Center in InFrame, where we had children under 12 years old were involved, and we basically shared what they are missing out and what is there out in the open that they can enjoy. And I was happy to see that children had a different perspective when they started looking at all these things that were not open to them. And I was also very happy to see parents being supportive. The parents actually came up to me and asked for a follow-up to that workshop so that children can be exposed more in nature and do much more productive activities in their life.
Thank you, Gau. I have actually seen images of you as an educator with the at FRIM. Yeah, I think the public would surely find it heartening to see our young people out in the open with their parents, actually, yeah, to take part in what we call nature awareness instead of burying their heads into their laptops or iPads, yeah? So, Gau, could you talk a little bit more about this FRIM experience, please?
Yes, Vipin. What we did in this particular workshop, which we engaged children under 12, we basically spoke to them trying to talk about conservation and what's meaning of extinction, right? If conservation is not in place, then the next level is going to be extinction. So what they missed out on in their current generation, which we exposed during our presentation. Some of them were very, very, they got worried about what's going to happen in future. So a lot of questions, they asked me very simple questions like what we could do, what we could help with for the next coming years, and what is needed, right? So this is where children started to be much more proactive in understanding what is needed from their point of view and what in their capacity, especially. So in InFrame with NEC, there were follow-ups to those kind of workshops, which they are still actively going on. Well, it's right now because of the pandemic, it's been stalled for a while, but it is possible through other means. We have Zoom meeting sessions, StreamYards, and all that. Those are more options that we have that we can still engage with children and also the next generation. And yeah, those especially parents should be supportive of this, and they should realized that children would be much more open to opportunities in learning about nature than over the iPad and whatnot medium that is currently ingrained in the society right now.
Thank you, Gau. I also saw some images with the tree planting exercise very close to our MNS headquarters. Yes, that would be fantastic if you show the images. And just as a point of interest and also to appeal to the public, MNS is trying to raise a 1 million ringgit fund to help with our protection of nature. What we ask from the public is if each person can donate 1 ringgit, and 1 ringgit out of from 30 million people population, I am sure we can reach the target of the 1 million fund. Yeah. Thank you very much, Gau and Mahesh. I am sure by listening to these two gentlemen, we are a little bit more educated in terms of conservation photography. Do share with us any questions you want to ask with regards to this subject. We have some time. So what I would like to do is to ask if Mahesh would like to talk a little bit more about conservation. I remember you had mentioned a little bit about the 6 R's. I think that is absolutely critical to our education. And then maybe Gau, you can talk about citizen scientists, our nature warriors, because for me, in my personal opinion, our younger generation is our hope. Yeah, we need to find ways to plant the seed of wanting them to be out to love nature and to see why it is absolutely necessary to conserve and preserve. First, Mahesh, can you talk a little bit more about the ethics?
Thanks, Swee Peng. Before going to the ethics, I would also like to elaborate a little more on the tree plantation, what you talked about. For more than a century, we have been extracting the natural resources from the ecosystem at a much higher rate than the mother nature can recoup. So it's very important now that we all must work together to regenerate the biodiversity what we have lost. So one is to conserve what we have. At the same time, we need to work on regenerating the biodiversity. And the simplest way to do that is to start planting trees wherever possible, but with the local species, the endemic species of trees. And that's a wonderful initiative being taken by MNS. I would appeal more and more people should not only contribute 1 ringgit to this fund, but also contribute your time and efforts for doing these tree plantations. That is the minimum every one of us can do. And secondly, when we talk about biodegradation, when we talk about loss of habitat, when we talk about loss of biodiversity, when we talk about ecological imbalance, this is all happening because of consumption needs of human beings. Therefore, it's very important that we all should change our consumption habits in our personal life. And that is everyone can do. When the consumption patterns will change, the damage which we are causing to the ecosystem will automatically start coming down. So that is a bare minimum basic which we should do. And that's what Swee Peng was referring to. So please use these 6 R's in your personal life. Reuse, recycle, rethink, and so on. So these are very, very important. And don't feel that this is applicable only in case of using plastics. It is applicable for everything. Everything, when you are going into the market to buy, please think, do you need this? And if you need this, how are you going to recycle it at the end of life? If you are not able to recycle it, how are you going to dispose it off? How even the disposal will be either not harmful to the ecosystem, or how can we reduce harm to the ecosystem? That's everyone should do. And as a nature photographer, as a wildlife photographer, as a conservation photographer, I would say be ethical in the field. Please do not use rampant bird calls. I myself have seen, and I myself have been guilty before I knew about this issue of using these techniques to get beautiful shots of birds, but it is unethical. Nobody should do it. And if you see somebody is doing it, please try to convince and dissuade them. In worst case, please contact MNS Parihilitan so that some actions can be generated. Do not indulge yourself or encourage baiting of wildlife. Please do not relocate wildlife for getting that beautiful shot with a clean background. Don't clear the foliage. The wildlife creates their nest in such a way that it is completely camouflaged from their predators. And if we remove that foliage, then we are removing their protection and we are making them more vulnerable. Please do not do overcrowding whenever certain species of wildlife or a bird is seen. It's okay not to see every time and go there and photograph. You can still enjoy photographs made by others. Have patience for that and have that compassion. Please do not share the location of nest. You might not have anything bad in your mind, but you never know who will use this information for what purpose. So please do not do that. And since we are talking to a larger photography fraternity here, please do not promote unethically captured photos, however beautiful they are. Over to you, Swee Peng.
Thank you, Mahesh. Gau, may I invite you to see if you'd like to add further to what Mahesh has said just now?
Sure, Swee Peng. I'd like to just add that we have to focus on our future generation, younger generation, and MNS has provided lots of channels and opportunities to get children out there and build awareness in them, and also build up the understanding of our flora and fauna and the importance of it, and get them to be our nature warriors in future. So these opportunities MNS is providing, and I encourage parents to bring them in, join us, and get themselves much more into a positive kind of engagements or activities in their life. And you can see a lot of changes in them. They will start to, like what Mahesh was saying, the awareness in terms of trying to reduce, reuse, rethink, and so on. So children will start to build up in that awareness and also follow through with what we are trying to ingrain in them. So this opportunity, again, with MNS, we have many channels that are going to be beneficial for them. And parents, don't waste this opportunity, and please do come and join us and have them in a world of their own, which they can also have benefits in bringing awareness and reviving our nature. That's all.
Thank you, Gau. We are going to come towards the end of our session, and it's almost time for our Q&A. Before that, I would like to talk a little bit, which is a bit more uplifting, about responsible tourism. I was lucky to be a part of a group going into Sungai Lembing. And Sungai Lembing, as you know, is a beautiful place with waterfalls, with a place where you can see great sunrises. And what impressed me most is the organizers of the 4x4. They bring us to the waterfall. We are treated to after a hike, we are treated to drinks and instant noodles. But what is most heartening to see is that not one piece of garbage is left behind. The organizers ask our help to put everything back into a plastic bag. And this is what Mahesh says: pack it in and pack it out. Don't leave things in our national parks or our places of interest, yeah? Because it is very difficult to only rely on tour organizers or the park rangers to do that job. Every one of us should play our part, no matter how small. I think Mahesh also had a wonderful story in our Taman Negara. And maybe Mahesh can share that too. Yeah, Mahesh, would you like to talk about that?
Right. You know, once when we were in a trip in Taman Nagara, we were so happy to see that as soon as we entered, they handed over to us one big plastic bag per room and told us that whatever garbage you generate, please put it into this. And when you are checking out, please keep this garbage bag at one place. There was an assigned place for that. We were very happy we were doing that. But later on, I was very curious, what happens to this bag after we keep it here? And then we went and saw what happens to this was finally these bags were all going into the landfill within Taman Nagara. So at the end of the day, we all should understand that we are in Asia. Our infrastructure for waste collection, waste segregation, waste recycling is still far, far away from where it should be. So it is our responsibility to ensure that we bring back all this garbage from the wildlife corridors, from the Taman Nagara, back into the cities where we have an access to better waste segregation and recycling centers. Thanks, Vipin.
Thank you, Mahesh. We are actually showing now in the background a video of the Eco Center that is actually run by MNS in Kerteh. This is a beautiful video that is full of hope. It shows our young people being educated about the importance of our mangrove landscape. And then you will also see later, they are also educated about the preservation of our own turtle wildlife. Yeah. So while this is going on, perhaps I can invite Jessica to come in and say a few words towards our program and towards conservation photography. Jessica, over to you.
Thank you, Swee Peng, and thank you, Gau and Mahesh. It's so wonderful morning to listen to your very inspiring and very meaningful message to all the photographers. I think it's not only for photographers, for indeed everyone, every one of us, because we are also part of this nature, I think. And every one of us has a responsibility and role to help sustain our environment. Okay, I think maybe I have a question. Can I ask some questions?
Please.
Okay, all right. So I think this is a very commendable effort of your MNS, this photo group, to bring about this kind of awareness to the public. So this program, is it only confined to our area here in this region, like Selangor or KL, or is this program going to be expanded, countrywide?
Swee Peng, you want to take that?
Jessica, thank you for your question. You know, the Malaysian Nature Society is Malaysia's oldest NGO in nature preservation, and it is nationwide. We have branches all over Malaysia, including East Malaysia. And although it seems, in inverted commas, that Selangor is active. In fact, all our branches are very active in their own way to bring about this awareness, to organize trips, to organize workshops. In fact, during the MCO, we see very innovative programs organized by different branches to have webinars, including even night walks by the herb group. We have quizzes, many things just to keep the momentum of nature awareness, nature protection, education about our wildlife and our flora and fauna. So, and it is all over. So take heart that it's not confined to just Selangor. And of course, MNS is not the only NGO in this very worthwhile activity. We have many other NGOs like MyCat, and all of a sudden I cannot remember the rest, but there are many in Malaysia doing this kind of work. And what I find is very interesting is some of the other NGOs also organize trips that actually involve young people, teaching young people to do bird watching, showing them the beauty of birds, how to do bird watching ethically. Yeah. In fact, I find there is another group called MESET, which is more about conservation and protection of seahorses, all of which we need a lot more in the public domain so that everybody knows about it. Is that good enough to answer your question, Jessica?
Yes, very well, very good. Then, and you made it so interesting, and I feel like I want to participate. How do I go about signing up for your program?
Gau, can you take this, please?
Well, Jessica, you provided us a booth there, right?
Yeah.
So you can actually go to our booth in KLPF itself
Yes.
and get yourself registered there, or you can go into our official website and get yourself registered there as well. And you can go into Facebook, and there's all the social mediums are available through to get yourselves involved. So, and one more thing I'd like to share is we have different special interest groups within MNS. So signing up with MNS itself is enough for you all to decide which special interest group would suit you. So you can switch whichever you want. But the important thing is, as long as you are within MNS, you belong to all the other SIGs.
Wow, that's very
Jessica,
good.
sorry, Jessica, I would like to add one more about our membership.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if you sign on as a family. We have a family program where you can sign as a family, and the whole family can enjoy all the information, all the outdoor trips, and it's for a very, very nominal sum per year. So come to the booth. I myself will be on duty today from 3 to 9 p.m. and I look forward to welcoming you. Yeah, join us. Also help to donate the 1 million ringgit fund. It only takes 1 ringgit from each person, and I think it is a very doable, less than 1 teh tarik. Yeah, please come, help us to further our cause to nature protection and conservation.
Yeah, all of you nature lovers out there, and you can bring your family here to Viva Shopping Mall at our MNS booth, and here you can meet Swee Peng. Now you are meeting her online. Afterwards, from 3 p.m. you can meet her in person here, and you sign up. It's a good effort to contribute to our environment and help sustain our environment, right? So yeah, nature lovers, please do come over to the Kuala Lumpur Photography Festival here, our physical exhibition, where MNS has a booth here, right at the entrance of the gallery. Very easy, you don't have to hunt around, right? Okay, so yeah, Swee Peng, Gau and Mahesh, do you have anything to add?
Just
Or
want to
Alex,
say
any
a
question?
big thank you.
Thank you.
A
Big
big
thank
thank
you,
you.
Jessica and KLPF.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, KLPF.
Thank you,
All right.
Jessica.
So thank you very much to MNS, the photo group branch. Photo group of Selangor Branch, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for being a partner with KLPF, our Kuala Lumpur Photography Festival, for many years. I remember even before I joined KLPF, you're already in here. So yeah, you have stayed longer than me. So thank you very much for being a part of the KLPF, and let us join our hands together and help to sustain and conserve the environment. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.